Here we are. Look at us. I'm realizing I forgot to text Rosaline. So
Oh,
maybe it's us. Where are you, Mary?
I am in bed. I had surgery on Friday,
Oh,
but I'm awake
goodness.
now. So I just had my 15 minutes per hour up. So
What's the surgery? Did I miss that or forget it? Because I'm bad at keeping track of things.
I may not have said anything. I don't know.
Mhm.
Kate was my trusty
Yeah.
driver friend, assistant
As you've
support.
been for her so many times.
Well, I got my knee vacuumed out, all the
Oh.
cruddy crunch
Mhm.
hanging bits and pieces. So I'm sure there's a name for that, but
But
I don't
not a
know what
whole
it
knee replacement or
is. No, no,
yeah.
that's not yet. That eventually will happen, but hopefully this will buy me some time and some mobility
Mm.
That's
and
good.
less pain. Yeah.
How's your pain level right now?
Well, after playing the catch-up game yesterday, um, it's okay right now. At this very minute, it's okay.
That's good.
Mm.
Yeah.
Did you had the same, well, not the same, but you had to run around with pain meds?
They just didn't. They forgot to give them to me. So,
I'm
um, yeah. So Saturday, I texted them, but they're probably won't even get it. I haven't even checked to see if they responded today, but they were like, "You can take OxyContin, right?" I'm like, "Yeah,
and they
okay."
never gave it to you.
That's as far as that went, but that's
Gee,
okay.
I kind of have glommed onto a little bit of that during Peter's like the past since he came out of the hospital, that pain management, while they give it lip service, like, oh, we're on top of your pain management, that happens. People, there is a disconnect, isn't there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
I actually was in a pretty interesting group one time. The surgeon who took my rods out, I had Harrington rods in my back, and he and two other, one was a surgeon, one was a pain management guy,
Mhm.
and they wanted to explore the idea that the pain scale was ludicrous, that like your 5 is nowhere near my 5,
Yeah.
and it gives them some indication, like it's something that they can tangibly say, oh well, that's probably something we should do something about, or your big baby, just wait it out, whatever. um but it went only for a couple of times, and then it didn't go anymore, and I'm really sorry because it's such a huge, like you said, a disconnect for surgeons. Hey, Dawn.
Hey,
And
how
the
are
medical
you?
profession as a whole. I just had my knee scooped out on Friday, so I'm just
Oh.
talking about
Is
that. But
it tender still?
yeah, I
Yeah.
I
can
think more than
only
tender.
Oh,
yeah, maybe a little more than
thanks,
tender.
Laura.
She didn't get her OxyContin on time, so that's the level of pain that we're dealing with.
Wow.
Or I didn't get it at all.
You didn't
So
get it at all. Yeah,
yeah.
on time would have been like right after.
On time would have been, I would have it available to me. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, that's just bullshit.
But
Oh, I'm so
no,
sorry, Mary.
that's
Pain
okay.
Shit.
I am definitely going to be in the Walker Olympics, because I have figured out every door jam, exactly what angle to go through. Mind you, most of them are now completely divoted out.
Making your way through.
But I have a new definition of meal train, which is I go in the kitchen, I figure out what I'm going to eat, and then I put it on the wheelchair and push it while I'm sitting on the walker. So
That's funny.
That's perfect.
Somebody
you know
needs
what?
to get
Where there's a will, there's a way. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
Oh
gosh.
man.
How's everybody else?
Well, it's nice to see all of you all.
Yeah,
It's nice to
No.
be here.
Mhm.
Good to see you guys. Gosh
I
darn
know.
it.
You look like you're in the middle of summer. What's going on? We're all
It's
like
so hot
got our
here.
sweaters on and stuff.
I know it's hot. It's smoky and cloudy, but it's
Mm.
warm. Maybe I'm in a different like heat
Or if you've
pocket
got
in
some
Portland,
sun
but
on you, yeah.
yeah, I
Yeah.
think it's just our house is a little bit cooler, but yeah, it just feels hot, like like a stuffy hot.
Mm.
Yeah, I think we're not getting that because we're down in the bowl. It's a little bit cooler down here, but I know what you mean. It's hazy. Hazy,
Yeah,
hazy.
Chris said went down closer to the river, and he said it was much smokier there yesterday afternoon, the day, but like late in the afternoon, much more smoky than out here. I mean, there's just a constant haze out here from the fires
Yeah.
from from
I
everywhere else
didn't
but
know
here.
that you guys were having haze again out there.
I mean, it's been for a while now. I
Yeah.
mean,
It's
just
just
not
that
clear.
yellow.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
it's like your glasses are dirty.
Mm-hmm.
And although that may be the problem. Oh, hey, no, just kidding. I think it's, when you have that film, so it's
Yeah.
everything just has kind of this sort of sheen on it. So,
Yeah.
But Laurel, you're getting ready to get away for the week? Is you're heading?
I'm about to go. Well, I have to go to Connecticut to go to present to our board, which I am not looking
Oh.
forward to.
Uh-oh.
So I have to go up on Tuesday, come back on Wednesday, and then on Thursday I start driving down to Asheville. I go
Okay.
pick up Z, who's on fall break in Richmond,
Okay.
and then spend the weekend in Asheville. So
Oh, good.
I will be up and down the eastern
The
corridor.
eastern side.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
that's
actually kind of in denial that I'm doing all that traveling, but at least up to Connecticut, I'll be on the train. So I
Yeah.
always
I was
enjoy
going to
the
ask you.
train.
Okay.
Yeah.
So could
Yeah.
train up, train down, and then drive.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you're like, how far from Asheville?
Oh, 8 hours,
Oh,
8 hour
okay.
drive. Yeah. It's
And
North
from-
Carolina, a long fucking state.
yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And Virginia too. By the time you get across
Yeah,
Virginia, I think
Virginia's
it'll be a
massive.
little bit to go through Richmond will be a little bit out of my way. I hope not
Mm.
too much, but yeah, so I'm looking forward to seeing my kiddos.
Yeah. Does he
I
Yeah.
hope
still have
it's
his girlfriend?
No? Oh, sorry.
Z does not have a girlfriend that I know of, or
Oh,
a
okay.
a
I just
friend.
remember the girl a long time ago now, I guess. That he
Yeah.
was,
Yep. That
okay.
broke up quite a while ago.
Okay.
That person decided to go back to college at the midterm break last year. So Z's been, to my knowledge, single since then, although
Mothers don't know
I don't know. At some point he shares pretty much everything with me, but
Oh. Well, you've got some time in the car. You'll probably get some
yeah,
updates.
exactly. I might get some details, but yeah. It's just, yeah, it hasn't been that long since I dropped him off, but he's had a hard go, getting back to school has been really hard.
An adjustment.
I would say maybe even more than an adjustment in that, I mean, yes, a big adjustment from kind of like going from living on a commune, and then he was like backpacking all summer in Europe and, basically feeling like a pretty independent adult.
Right.
And then being a freshman year in college and with kids who are younger than him and living in a dorm, and I mean, frankly, taking classes that don't seem to interest him. And then I think I'm actually kind of reassured that so many of my friends' kids are not continuing in college in a weird way, because I
Mhm.
think my son just really cannot see the value of it
Yeah.
at all,
Yeah.
like to his interests in life.
Yeah.
And I am, in some ways very proud that I've raised kids who really don't like capitalism and want to try to live outside of it.
Mhm.
And that like terrifies me at the same time. And so I think the way they both, I mean, my daughter didn't complete college. I have a feeling my son's going to tell me he's not going to go back next semester.
Yeah.
And
It's got to
just
be
a different
really,
way of living, I guess, just a
Yeah.
different way of envisioning their future and how they're going to get there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's also so much more to college than just the degree. I mean, yes, it's nice to have that
Yeah.
in the long run, but there's so much that, I mean, I just feel like Abby missed so much, as she would say, the college experience, and
Mm.
not beyond the classes and the didactic
Yeah, I
academic.
think for my son, I mean, he's created a lot of that for himself, right? Like
Mhm.
Yeah,
the way he's been living in the world, and I think
Right.
the way he's starting to think about what he wants to do next.
yeah,
A lot of those things that we think about, oh, I learned that at college. I think he probably will be learning those things. And my daughter it feels like she's kind of living the life of somebody who is 22, who has, who's like waitressing and kind of figuring out like,
Yeah.
where do I want to live in
Uh-huh.
the world and stuff like that. So I don't know,
And
but
there's all different paths now. I think it is good to be able to make those choices if you can and say, hey, I don't think college is, or I think college is, or
mhm.
even when you have it. I mean, I can only contribute, nieces and such, but I have 24, 25-year-old, and she has a degree and she's waitressing and
Yeah.
she's happy. And she's like, I don't really know. I'm just really enjoying where I'm at right now.
Mhm.
And I feel like
Mhm.
that's a failure in some sort of way when people think, oh, I'm just waitressing with a degree. She's like, but I'm happy right now. I mean, I'm not, it's not that I'm not looking. So I
yeah,
just think there's so many different ways that we shouldn't have to do it one way or the other. Especially, I mean, Z
Yeah.
has been, I mean, he has this incredible experience that so many American kids don't have.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
if your path needed a degree, then of course, then you would make it happen. Like if that was the route
Yeah,
I
to
do think that's
citizens.
true. I do worry that they will kind of disconnect from lifelong learning.
Mm.
Um, but maybe that's just how I think of learning.
Well, and
Um,
what is learning? I mean, do you want it
right.
to be academic, or do you, I mean, I don't know. There is more than one way, but you know the advantage of what you can have with learning. And I mean, there are doors that
yeah,
will
and I guess
open.
also having a job, and to me, like my learning comes through my job, right?
Sure.
And I have my job because I have a degree.
Yes.
But I also work for the man.
I mean, eventually you have to figure it out though, too, because we need money to live, right? And that's kind of what's happening now. When I look at my nieces, where,
Yeah.
one of the girls, she has a full-time job. She bought a house. She's pregnant. The second one is this waitress. The third one is like, I'm going to travel as much as I can for college programs,
Hmm.
none of which her other sisters did. So all three of them are kind of like, they're going to
Taking
all do the
different.
college
Yeah.
thing, but they're all just doing this,
Yeah.
radically different. I think in the end, you have to figure that, I mean, you're still going to have to buy food and pay rent. And
Right.
so
Right.
Right.
it's okay to, well, anyway, that you guys know, you're all
Yeah.
moms. I
Yeah.
mean, you can live so far, but we know people that are, in their 40s or at least well into their 30s and haven't saved a nickel. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
and watching those friends right now in their early 40s, they're like, fuck, like
Yeah.
I've got zip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's okay in your 20s and 30s that you don't have anything, but eventually you might start thinking like, oh, is this how I'm going to live out my days with?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's hard to envision that in your 20s.
I'm after all of my kids right now. I'm like, fucking, you have plenty of money. Start your goddamn retirement now, right now. You need to start
Yeah.
putting money away. And they're just slow on that. And
Yeah.
that worries me.
Yeah.
I
Even
basically started that with my kids when they were teenagers.
Yeah.
Okay.
And started, you know, contributing birthday money, and they
Mhm.
had money from their dad and things like that, so that you can kind of, now they've been doing it for, I mean, Z's coming up on 10 years where he can
Yeah.
see that his money, even though you have that small amount, it can double.
Yes.
Right.
I mean, a
And
relatively
when,
small amount, but then, then you're going from 5 to 10, 10 to 20. So I would say, I don't know. I do feel like we're doing okay on that front. Thank
that's
goodness.
great. No, that's really good, because if you see it grow in that 5 or 10 years at this point in his
Right.
life,
Then it's the incentive to save.
yeah, because then you're like, oh, I'm only this old, and so what's that going to look like in 30?
Hmm. Hmm.
Wow. Okay.
And to
So
save a couple $1,000s a year, even when you're not making that much, is still something that's doable.
yeah, whatever it is, yeah, for sure. Just how you get in the practice of saving.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Plus, I was going to say they have the experience of growing up a large part of their life overseas, and the
Hmm.
travel for me has always been such a big part of my education. My parents
Yeah.
were
Yeah.
pretty adamant that we not just stay home and learn
Yeah.
that way. There's so much to be learned just from going to a different place, even if it's a different state. It
Yeah.
doesn't have to be out of the country, but then when it is
Yeah.
out of the country, and just to see how others live and
Mhm.
yeah,
Mhm.
develop
Yeah,
something.
thank you, Mary. That's so true. Yeah. I just my biggest stress is telling my parents. So we're going we're going home
Yeah.
for Thanksgiving, and I feel like I need to like tell my parents and tell them to not be assholes and judgmental.
Yeah.
They haven't seen their grandkids since COVID. So this will be like 2
Uh,
years they haven't seen my kids, and I just know they're going to be, I don't know. I don't think
yeah.
they'll be like real assholes, but my kids are going to come away feeling judged. I
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
I need
I mean,
all of you there, like around
uh,
the Thanksgiving table,
yeah.
making all the points you just made.
But is that
I mean,
because
that's
you
the,
felt that way growing up, and they were that way to you, or I mean, is
I
it
think they're
some
just like
projection?
generationally so,
Yeah.
I think they just are so out of touch with.
well, they're intellectuals and they are old. And so they,
Yeah, I
they're
guess
from
so.
another time.
It's
Yeah.
funny because my parents aren't really all that traditional, but um I mean, even when I was in my 20s and kind of doing more activism, my dad kind of let me know that he thought I was kind of wasting my potential. And he
Yeah.
didn't, it wasn't until later that he was like, "Oh, I see you went to Indonesia and you spent a couple years there living, basically off of nothing and came back and, went to graduate and, 10 years later you had your pathway."
Mm,
And he could kind of see that, but
understand
um
that.
But that's
I think
something that
he's
you
forgotten
might
that
want,
lesson.
yeah, you might want to gently remind him of that about you and that your kids are still young and they're still figuring it out. And universities are still going to be there in 5 years
Right.
if that's what they choose. Right now we're coming out of a global pandemic that has fucked everybody up.
Yeah.
And
I
yeah, if you're just not feeling that right now, then you shouldn't waste the
Yeah,
money
I
and the
think
time.
after I get back from Asheville, I'm going to have a couple of calls from them and just be, I don't know if
Yeah.
gently or directly, but
well
also
here
remind
here's
them, if they really want to have a relationship with these people, they have to kind of accept them as who they are.
Yes, absolutely.
It was really interesting when we had the gathering for my dad.
Mhm.
All of the grandkids wrote a little page or two in a book to him, and reading all of them, I mean, there definitely was a theme that all of them were to varying degrees terrified of him, because he but it was motivating, and for them, they knew that he, because he is a very engaged, intellectually engaged grandfather, they knew that when they went to visit, and they would go often. It wasn't like they avoided him or anything like that, but they would go. They knew that he was going to ask them what they were doing and what they were reading and what they were, what was making them
Mm.
excited in a day, and those kind of questions. And I was really surprised by reading all, and I was able to read it, but by reading all of their stories to him, or
Mhm.
their kind of love letters to him, and just seeing how he was such a pillar in their lives.
Mhm.
And I mean, mind you, I and my brother, when he got up and spoke, he said, Dad never gave advice. He waited to see what was going on with you and how you were going to think through it, because he
Mm.
was all about the process. And it was surprising to me that, I mean, really surprising to me. It wasn't surprising to me that they were terrified of him, but
Mm.
I think it was the fear that we all have of disappointing somebody.
Yeah.
And so at times, I mean, I even felt that, and I felt like, well, I had to drum up some really good answer about what Abby was doing when it was just like, let her do
Mhm.
that. I mean, she can clearly do a much better job at saying what she's doing and what she's interested in and what she's challenged by than I can in trying to make up an answer that he would want to hear. And that's
Mm,
never what he wanted to hear. But I didn't really even get that until they wrote that the book.
yeah. Well, how great that you have that, Mary. I
Mm.
mean,
Yeah,
so
but
incredible.
it's one of those things where, I mean, I'm not saying you're wrong, but I was surprised
Mhm.
that was the sentiment, and clearly the thread that all the grandkids, and they spent every single night that we were there talking about him when
Mhm.
they were all, I mean, they're all pretty close, but
Mhm.
you know, and just talking about, oh, remember the time when we went over and he did this and said this, and you know, you were like peeing your pants because you hadn't done the homework, or you know, whatever it was. But I don't know. I think that we are all motivated by different things, and
Mhm.
sometimes it's the
Mhm.
thing that they said or the things they didn't say, and
Yeah.
just kind of
Yeah.
let you kind of process it in your own head and heart.
And all that, what you just said made me think what I was thinking when I was listening to you, Laurel, is that, talking to your parents is one thing, but it's also, the reverse is that your kids have the ability, they seem smart and,
Be
you
right
know,
back.
see you later. I just think that it's an opportunity for them to say who they are and what's going on with them, as opposed to prepping your
Yeah.
parents for what to ask, also prepping your kids to say, hey, this is how it's gonna be. Remember, old people, it's
Yeah.
hard for them to change.
Right.
And,
Right.
just stand your ground, be kind with them. I think it's more apt that they're more malleable than your parents might be malleable.
Mhm. Mhm. I think that's true for my son. I think my daughter is
Mm.
just maybe, but listening to Mary speak, like maybe I need to stop thinking of her being so vulnerable. Maybe she's not.
Yeah,
I just
yeah.
think that she's very, yeah, she can take things personally, and she's
Personally.
also at a place where she's not so sure of herself. She's, not feeling that confident about this move to Asheville and what did she get herself into, and
Oh my God, I
um
remember feeling exactly the same way at her age,
yeah.
Charlotte. God, I was like, why am
Yeah,
I
so I
doing that?
don't I think, to talk to a friend about it, to talk to
Mm.
Kate about that, would she'd feel okay about that, but to
Yeah,
to
I
speak to
see.
her grandparents that she hasn't really had such a relationship with
I gotcha.
COVID, I think, as well as during high school, she had mental health issues and was in and out of treatment and inpatient, and my parents
Mm.
just didn't understand it, or
Sorry.
it
Yeah,
just
that's
kind of
that's
cut off communication. Not, I wouldn't say cut off communication with her, but just kind of avoided, in
yeah,
that
yeah.
nice.
Yeah,
Mm.
they,
I don't know if it's a waspy way or a Midwestern way, or that kind of.
Yeah, let's just talk about the weather.
Yeah,
Or not talk.
exactly. Yeah, or not talk
Yeah,
kind of thing.
yeah.
I think my parents didn't know how to deal with it, and
yeah,
so all of that. Well,
yeah.
Well,
And
if
then
anything at all, like you said, with the pandemic, I mean, mental health is now, thank God, really been put forward, and there isn't the same stigma that was attached to it
that's
pre-pandemic.
true. That's true.
Um,
And
yeah,
they
and I'll
watch
be
PBS NewsHour every single night, so I'm sure they've covered these types of topics.
sure that they have, mental health is very important. Um, so I feel like it's okay to say that now to people, like, yeah, it fucking sucks and I'm having a really hard time.
Yeah.
And where before I just think people were just like, I just don't want to hear that.
Yeah.
yeah, I just
Yeah.
want to hear niceness. Yeah. Well, it's an
Exactly.
opportunity for, like you said, just have more belief in her maybe, and she will have more belief in herself to just be okay with not knowing. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes we're all through life we don't know. So
Yeah.
it never ends. So
Yeah,
It never ends.
that
No.
is true.
it's a little bit yeah, the reality check.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, Dom, what have you been up to? We haven't seen you in a while.
Yeah, yep. Just just doing our normal stuff. I mean, we've been back now, what, a good 6, 7 weeks, and I'm getting ready to leave again next week.
You know, I think we thought you might already be gone this week.
Yeah, so I'm leaving on Tuesday to fly back to Michigan for a couple days, then scoop up my mom, go to Minneapolis for a long weekend, and then come back. And then see my best friend from college, spend a couple nights with her.
Yeah.
That's gonna be so fun.
So that's just
But
like a week that you're away.
10 days. Yep.
10 days, yeah.
10 days, quick little trip, lots of flying. But yeah, good, back to work. Have a new client that's super interesting for me, super big, challenging. So that's keeps me learning. And like kind of what you were saying earlier, just
Yeah.
being challenged. And so that's super exciting. And just the human connection in my job. I'm so lucky. So I'm back in the gym a couple days a week. I'm out at the horse farm again.
Yeah.
Dana, I'm out on Friday. So I know that we've talked a little bit about you going out. So you're always welcome to go out on Fridays.
Now I feel like everything that's happening now, like Peter's on hospice now. So we're getting to know the hospice nurses and the different counselors and working on with insurance brokers. And yeah, and then I'm doing remember I told you I was going to do that thing for my neck. I'm going through that procedure because I was thinking, ultimately I would really like to be able to ride again. So I need to get my neck needs to not hurt, because otherwise I won't feel confident. And one should not get on the back of a horse if you do not.
No, and I'm riding every Friday. Because I switched my day from Monday to Friday. So we had Sophia living with us for a while, and she's a huge horse lover, 22. And so her first day of out to the barn, we're riding. I'm like, man, I had to wait like a year and a half to start riding every week, and you come out and we start riding every Friday. It's awesome. So awesome.
That's terrific. Yeah, I mean, that sounds really great. So I just need to get my life to this spot where.
Yeah. Hey, if it's an impromptu thing in the future, it doesn't have to be a date set. Like, I mean, just know that, I mean, you can go out anytime. You just give me a little shout and we'll work it out. But typically I go out on Fridays for the most part. And I usually take off about 9 and head out there. And so it might be a good break away from things. I mean, you can't be sick, I don't know. You can't be
even if you can't ride, you can do all the things that gave Dawn so much pleasure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah, for sure. Oh my gosh.
I mean, just smelling horses is
I know, right? Exactly. So yeah, she's amazing. I keep on learning more now that I'm working with the owner every Friday. The woman's just one of those, like, let's call him horse whisperer, but she's got her own beat. She's a really smart woman around horses. And so
you changed days and now you're there with her. Is that right?
Her only day she wasn't there was the day I was there. And that's why I was there, because they needed help. They don't need that help anymore.
Guys, I just got 3 phone calls in a row from Gretchen. That's rare.
Okay. I don't ahead and go.
I'm just gonna check really quick.
Okay.
But otherwise good. We're in the middle of a little house project. Chris tore down our deck, and actually Kate and Craig came over and gave us their perspective on what we should do. And so I'm telling you what, Laurel, I'm just not cut out for this stuff.
Was it rotting off? Is that why you needed to tear it off? Yeah. Okay. So you tore it down. I'm terrible at that kind of stuff too.
So the tear down was easy, but I mean, I'm just not a good visualizer. I'm like, hey, what is this going to look like? And then that the colors that whatever. Long story short is we're not building a deck because of the permits and because of how expensive it is. We're going to go with a stamped patio, which is about a quarter of the cost, and no permit. So
that means there will be then steps up to your house.
You bet. Exactly. Yeah. And so they're going to run from the side of the slider to the front porch so that it'll go up onto the front porch as well.
Okay.
And then now we're redoing the front porch flooring, because that's also partially just not, so it, it starts out.
Is your front porch covered, Dawn?
Yeah, it's covered it's covered, and the patio is like right out.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Right out from that. So it's covered, but it's still whatever. I don't know.
It's not screened in.
No. So it does get quite a bit of weather on the edge, and that's where it's mostly needs plus it's just old. It's just old. So he needs some prop up and
So
stuff.
will
So
Chris
more,
be able to do, you and Chris will be able to do all that work, or you'll have to have a contractor come in?
so we probably will have a contractor, although he still hasn't 100% agreed to it because he needs to have some help, but he could do the porch.
Mhm.
But the stairs, he's like, I mean, stairs, I mean, if they're not even, he's like, it's gonna kill me to see that every day it's not even. So more than likely we'll just contract out. But you know what? Contractors, right? Like they're just horrible communicators. And
Yeah,
I
yeah.
am so, I would have fired the guy actually. And Chris was
Mhm.
like, nah, that's just the way he communicates. And
Mhm.
I'm like, all right, if you're good with that. I'm like, he rescheduled today. He was supposed to be out today. And he's like, oh, I'm gonna come tomorrow. And I'm like, why is it acceptable for some professions just to be so lackadaisical?
Right, right, right.
So,
I mean, it's
but
kind of like a, what do you call, a seller's market? Like they just
yeah,
are so busy right now. You kind of,
yeah, whatever.
so Craig and Kate came over. Is Craig on his sabbatical now? Is he
Well,
already?
he is on his sabbatical, but they came over. Well, this has been a month. This is way
Oh,
too long.
okay,
It's
okay.
been too long. So they were over several weeks ago, but they left for Joshua Tree, is it on Saturday?
Oh, okay. See, I haven't even been in
camping.
touch with Kate. I don't know where she is.
Yeah,
So
so
they did, they took that camping trip that they'd planned.
yep, I just communicated with her last week. He just wrapped up Mercy Corps
Mhm.
and they were taking and heading out on Saturday. And I don't know for 1 week or 2 weeks, but yeah, that's gonna be great for
Mhm.
them.
Yeah,
So
get him away from, I'm sure he's already, you
yeah.
know, prepping and doing all the stuff.
Yeah, and
I
he's
mean,
already been on some calls already with the news, so he's already kind of got, a little bit of that, I think. But it'll be good just to be like, okay, now this chapter,
right, right.
now we can go there.
Yeah.
But so yeah, I got to see them. I went to, I'm sure these guys already told you, the Low Bar Choral with Mary.
Oh no, I
and
haven't
Kate,
heard about the Low Bar Corral because we've only
and
seen each other once a week for the past couple weeks. So
okay, yeah,
it's
and
not blow by blow, day by day anymore.
I
Dawn.
got you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
So what was
well,
the
oh my-
song?
It was so fun. It was, oh my gosh, it was a couple weeks ago. We sang
Oh no, was it
Jolene.
the Schoolhouse Rocks one?
No, we didn't make that one.
Oh, okay.
It was the one before that. Kate ended up being up
At
at
the very
Carolyn's.
end, they did one Schoolhouse Rock.
Yeah, but I didn't even like that one. It wasn't a very good one.
Yeah.
Jolene, and then we did a Crosby, Stills and Nash song.
Oh, I love Jolene. Who
Oh
doesn't
my
love
gosh,
Jolene?
that was really fun. It was so fun. So yeah, we
Oh
had
my
a
gosh.
little night out, and I definitely want to go back. It was so fun to
Wait,
sing.
the night that you and Chris came when I was
Yeah.
still there, did we sing the song for you guys?
Yeah, we were there. Yeah, it was
Yeah,
so
okay.
cool.
We sang it so many times for everybody that I can't even remember where we
Remember when
performed
you
that
sang?
song
Yeah,
one
it
day.
was so I didn't realize just they're everywhere. They play like all the time. They're at different venues in Portland, this Low Bar Choral. So it's great. You don't have to be able to sing. I mean, it's helpful if you
Yeah.
can sing, but you don't have to,
Yeah, but
right?
nobody cares. Everybody's there just for a good time. It was really
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, and a very cool venue. That venue is just an old school. They converted to a multiple. I don't know where you went, but they just converted to a bunch of different things. So,
But that's very special. I don't think there are those things all over the place.
yeah,
That kind of setup.
So,
And those people, they must love that so much.
oh my gosh.
I mean, they look like they're having so much fun, but it
Yeah.
must be a lot of work to work out all those songs, and like they must put in hours and hours of work for every one
Yeah,
of those.
and he changed them just like briefly. He took, a little bit of the song and he's like, when you say Jolene, I want you to lean into Jolene.
Right,
He's like,
right.
I want you to be Jolene,
Right.
Jolene.
Jolene.
Yes,
Jolene.
exactly.
Yeah.
So he was so
He
yeah, it
was
just a
amazing. Yeah.
super
but he's
amazing.
a pastor, right? Or
Yeah.
a choral director at
Yes.
the Lutheran church or something.
Yes, exactly. Choral director at some church. So he's
That guy
doing,
who looks like he should be like playing with Meatloaf. That guy.
yeah,
Yes.
yes.
Especially with the glasses.
there.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's a great description. Yeah, it's wow. Yeah, super fun. So we all just had a good time singing, and
Oh, fun.
and just really, and Kate was the one that articulated very nice, just voices coming together and singing is this sort of really cool experience.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a
So-
connection like no other for sure.
Yeah.
So that was kind of cool.
Well,
That
Abby
was
says hello to everybody and sending a smooch.
All
Oh,
right.
nice.
She also told me a long time ago, and I don't know if I ever mentioned this. She said, Laurel probably knows this, but let her know in case she doesn't, and that the all the loving kindnesses are on a public YouTube.
They are.
Okay. I figured you knew, but she's like, Mom, I almost cried. She goes, Mom, sometimes I just turn them on because I want to hear your voice. But
Oh,
That's really
no, but you
sweet.
guys talk about some pretty private things. Do you really want everybody to hear that? I said, I think I imagine that Laurel knows what she's doing, but I will pass that along.
no, well, that's interesting. I did at one point think, oh, I should go back and make them all. I mean, I made them all public initially because it made it easier for everybody to find them. And I
Mhm.
think, I think you and Chris were like showing your parents or, and so
Yes.
initially they were hidden and I was like, well, who's even going to look at this
Yeah.
channel anyway? And then you can see how many people view it, right? So I had kind of kept an eye on that early on. And we did have a couple of those incidents where, like when the title was like Naked
Oh,
and
yeah.
Afraid or whatever,
Yeah,
then
yeah,
suddenly I
yeah.
got a few people watching it and sending me like XXX, do you want to, hook up kind of things. So, so I was kind of monitoring it, but recently I did think, oh, I should just go back and make them all private, but it's not that easy to make, like it's a manual thing. And at this point there's like 600
Yeah.
of them times
Yeah.
2, because I put up 2 for every day. I put up 2 different videos so that
That's
Kate
crazy.
could just listen to the initial thing was if she wanted to just listen to the meditation, she could.
Yeah.
But anyway, do you think
Yeah.
I should
I wouldn't worry about it.
ask Abby if I should, if she thinks I should take them down? But
It's
that's so
your
sweet that
huge,
she
it's like-
listens to it
Yes, that is really sweet.
to hear
I'm
her
gonna-
mom's voice.
I'm gonna tell my mom that, and maybe I don't have to FaceTime them every day.
There you go.
You can just listen to the loving kindness.
I am at your fingertips.
Yeah, I mean, there have been a few when we do talk about more private things that I definitely do keep it.
Yeah.
But most of the time I'm like, who would just
Eh.
listen to us gabbing about,
Right.
Lonely people.
Doesn't know
and then
any of these people.
It'll be perfect for them.
I know.
Lonely people.
I'm surprised Kate wants to listen to it every day. Every time.
For sure. Wow, she just puts it on in the background when she's like
Yeah.
dusting or something. Right,
Yeah,
Kate?
I think
I've
she does
often
put it on
listening
while
to-
she's
Like, whose voice is that? Oh, that's me. Weird.
listening to a conversation I had.
Well, we sound
Yeah,
like
but you
dead
do
and-
sound really different. Or at least I do.
Mhm.
I listen to myself. I'm like, ew, I sound like that.
I
It's like,
know.
Funny.
I know.
Yeah, we're inside of our bodies, and so of course it's going to sound different from the inside than it does
Yeah.
on the outside.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's fun.
Yep.
How's Gretchen? Is everything okay? Dana?
Oh my god.
No.
Gretchen is fine. Gretchen called 3 times in a row to tell me that she was, and Kate will understand this. She was up at Rhododendron at Julie's cabin called Little Log. They went up last night. She spent the night with her. She was helping her do something. And this morning when she woke up, she said that Julie wasn't up and she went to check on her and she was in bad shape, had a blood pressure cuff on and basically was having a heart attack.
oh,
Julie is Gretchen's age. She's 56. But she's just I don't know. She's not healthy. Let's put
She's
it that
not
way.
in good health. Yeah.
I mean, she used to run all the time. That girl can take some Adderall and run 25 miles. But that's not the way you're supposed to do it. So anyway, Gretchen is amazing. Again, lifeguard. This is the second time. She had called me first before she called anybody else and said, why is this? So Little Log is off of High. If you're going up the hill to Mount Hood, you're past the fire station, you're going through Rhododendron, and it's Still Creek Road is the name of the road. It's like there's a sign where it says chain up. It's the last road on the right. You turn in there. There is no cell phone service back there. You'd think that there would be, but there's not. So she could not get a hold of anybody, so she had to get Julie out of the bed and into her car and
God.
drive her up to the Mount Hood fire and rescue, the fire station, which thank God is only like 3 miles up the road, if that.
Wow.
So they were able to get her into an ambulance, and she's on her way to Sunnyside now.
Oh, man.
Gretchen is, but what she had said was, she's like, my God, this is, and we have talked about this when we've gone camping in the Mount Hood National Forest. I mean, you should think about it when you go anywhere, but you know, when we were out by Bagby all those years, there's no cell phone service out there. It's a
Yeah.
good 40 miles
Yeah.
from Estacada, or from any cell phone service. And we had someone who just came out to visit us one night, which we were kind of like, why do people just show up without? It was just Gretchen and I out there, and this friend comes and she has a fucking seizure the next morning. So Gretchen, you know, throws her in the car, lifeguards her, throws her in the car. I follow, we got to drive from basically from about 9 miles from Bagby all the way to the camp store, get them to let us use their special phone, their landline, which they don't like to let people do, and then drive from there, make sure that an ambulance is coming, and then drive to get to meet. So she was just a little shook up, because she's like, why is it that this happens to me? And I'm like, because you're good in emergencies, okay? That's just the way it is. And thank God you were there, because if she had been there by herself, which she does go up by herself a lot, she probably would have died. Because the guys said at the fire station, it's not the worst that we've seen, but it's bad.
Mm.
So,
And you said she already had a blood pressure cuff on, so she had some sense that she wasn't doing well if
Yeah.
she had a
he
blood
knew something-
pressure
yeah,
cuff
she knew
within.
something. She said, Gretchen said she was pale and sweating. And she said that her arm was just in agony, her left arm. So
Wow.
Gretchen's like, yep, get in the car. So anyway, that's why she called me.
Oh,
Yeah.
poor Gretchen too. Then is
Sorry
she
to hear
still up
that.
there and gonna hang out until she gets released, or?
Well, she left her with the Hood River, or the Mount Hood Fire and Rescue has taken her. She is now on her way, if not already there, at Sunnyside Hospital, Sunnyside Medical Center. I guess that's the closest, as that must be where Mount Hood Medical Center is. I'm not sure. I don't know that side of town hospitals.
They're- Yeah.
And then Gretchen had called from the fire station, had called her husband, Roe. And
Mm.
Roe is gonna go to the hospital, and she's gonna go back up to the cabin and close everything up, lock up. And then she's gonna meet Roe at the hospital, and then
That still sounds like a lot for Gretchen. Remind her that she's also in recovery. Yeah,
she's doing pretty good.
I know,
as
but
far-
you can, that's exhausting, even if you're in
Mm.
good shape,
It
because it's
is.
emotionally and physically exhausting to be
Yeah.
like on that high alert
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
that.
Well,
Adrenaline.
it's funny because when we were up at Lake Simtustus just a couple of weeks ago, and we were talking about Julie, that she's been like flipping a house or houses, and Gretchen was like, I'm really worried about her, because she's one of those people that drinks like 20 diet sodas a day, and she smokes cigarettes. She uses Adderall. I don't know what other medications that she uses.
Mhm.
But I think that her heart is just like all the time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I don't think that she's physically, obviously. So I don't know. But Gretchen said just 3 weeks ago, I'm worried about her. She is not healthy. I don't like it that she drinks all those stupid diet sodas. They're so bad for you. Yeah. So hopefully it's, I don't know what the surgery is going to be, but that's another thing. As soon as they're like, you're getting surgery today, have a great time. That was what the guys at Fire and Rescue were like, oh yeah, you're gonna have surgery today.
Yikes.
Ooh, yeah.
That was a lot of information you got from Gretchen in a very short period.
We're very good at communicating with one another. We
Purge,
share information.
purge, vomit.
She
Yeah.
just had to like get it all out. All right, gotta go to the
Mm.
cabin now.
Oh
Oh,
man.
man.
Gosh.
Shoot.
Wow.
Sorry to
Yeah.
hear that.
Yeah.
Well, I am too, but I'm I'm glad that she called me and she's like, I called you first because you got to help me calm down.
Yeah,
Mhm,
that's
mhm,
great. It's good she has a good she has you.
mhm.
Honestly, I mean, for as drunk as we can get sometimes, she is very dependable in an emergency. And she may get shook up because she sounded pretty shook up, but I don't know. It's like lifeguard kicks in.
Yeah, yeah.
All right,
You're gonna just drink that Diet Coke there?
Ah,
Just kidding. I couldn't see it. I couldn't resist neither.
Okay, well, shall we get going?
All
Mary,
right.
are you still there?
I am. I'm just, I didn't want to give you guys a show, so.
oh.
Are you ready?
Thank you.
You can tell us, yeah, thank you, and you can let us know when you're ready.
There you go.
Why
I'm
won't this
ready.
go up? It won't go into full screen. Just a second. Stop share. Did I freeze?
No, it just was thinking on my end.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
me too.
It was just thinking.
Yeah, like there it is. It is up. It's up. It's all right. I
Okay.
had a hard time like getting back in here too. It'd been so long. I was like, wait, where do I go? What is
I
this?
know. How do I record? Oh my gosh. Okay, so